Get ready to be inspired by the great things happening in rural education. The Rural Scoop will bring you new ideas and innovative solutions. We'll dive into education issues and we'll highlight what's working in your rural communities. You will hear from a variety of educators, administrators, professionals, and others who will provide relevant and engaging content in each episode. And now, serving up the scoop, here's your host, Dr. Melissa Sadorf.
Well, welcome back to the Rural Scoop. I'm so glad that you're tuning in today because we're talking about a tool that's helping rural students across Arizona take charge of their futures. It's called My Future AZ, and it's making college and career planning easier, more personalized, and most importantly, more accessible. I'm joined today by Jessica Howe from Pipeline Connects, the team that's behind this very powerful platform. We're going to dig into how it works, what rural schools need to know, and how this free resource is helping districts link their students to real opportunities in their communities and beyond. So Jessica, welcome to the Rural Scoop.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm excited that you're here, but before we get to the platform, which I know we're going to be talking deeply about, I want to talk a little bit about you. So let's introduce you to the listeners and give us your background. What was your journey to the role that you're currently in with Pipeline Connects?
Quite the journey, actually, Melissa. So, and I love to share this journey with students because it really helps them to feel connected to what does a traditional or untraditional post-secondary journey look like. And it's not always a straight route. But how did I get to where I am? I started as a preschool teacher while I was in school. I was actually, I like to tell kiddos this, but I was actually a business major and changed my mind. And so hopefully that empowers kids to change their minds. But I became an elementary school teacher and I taught here in Pima County in a Title I school district for 10 years. I then transitioned from teaching preschool and kindergarten and second grade there to creating curriculum with SARSA, and kind of traveling throughout Southern Arizona and delivering science curriculum and empowering educators to teach the magic of wonder and awe and with their students, something I still hold really near and dear to my heart. And about 2 years ago, I was able to join the Pipeline team, and I feel so grateful because I get to share this wonderful no-cost tool with schools and educators and students and help them to take on their post-secondary journey, whatever that looks like for them. And so it's been such a gift, my journey, and such a privilege to be able to serve my community and be able to serve public schools and now be able to empower students to find a career that's meaningful for them.
I love that you were a teacher. So you, and in doing this work, really get where these teachers are coming from, and you know students. So that's even better. And then it dovetails into. Yes. So I want to start with the basics. What is My Future AZ, and what problem is it trying to solve for students in schools?
So My Future AZ was developed several years ago in partnership with the Department of Education to really help give students opportunity to have access and awareness around what post-secondary pathways are available to them and are best fit for them based on what their skills and what their interests are. And so we worked really collaboratively with the Department of Education to build out a really robust tool. And it not only empowers students to be able to make that decision for themselves, but it helps schools to meet that ECAP mandate. So we do have a really innovative digital ECAP for schools and students to be able to complete, which is an education career action plan. But we have schools that use it as well that don't use it for the ECAP element. They just use it to help prepare their students for graduation and whatever that looks like for themselves. So it is one of our suite of offerings within Pipeline Connects. We have several community colleges that also have a version of our tool that students can transition from the K-12 iteration into one of our college iterations, and then up into Pipeline AZ, where they can begin job seeking for themselves.
Mm. So I mean, it's been around for a while. How has it evolved as you've worked with different school communities, including rural communities?
Actually, I really love the process of iterating as a scientist and a learner, and I'll always be a learner and a scientist. I love being able to collect data, and I love being able to, our team likes to be able to collect feedback from all of our schools in, downtown Phoenix to Safford, to Chinley, to Flagstaff. And we take all of this information and feedback that we get from our users and really use it to implement changes within the tool and best meet the needs of the community. And so, we learn best when we work together. And so the tool has evolved from having, 10,000 student users, 40,000 student users, 60,000, on and on. I think we're almost at 150,000 student users within My Future AZ right now. And so we really need their feedback, kids' feedback, educators' feedback. And so we continue to grow the tool to continue to meet the needs of our communities.
So, Jessica, there are other career planning tools that are out there. So what makes My Future AZ stand out, especially for rural schools?
There are other tools that offer similar kind of experiences for students, but I think what makes My Future AZ stand out is that we are an Arizona local nonprofit. Our team lives in Arizona. We've taught in Arizona schools. We have our children are in Arizona schools, and so we're really vested in the success and in the experiences that students have in our community. So something that's unique to us is just we live here, we thrive here, we want to invest here. Additionally, we partner with, like I mentioned earlier, all of our community colleges. And so students are not only going to learn what post-secondary options they have, but they're going to seamlessly be able to connect to those pathway pages at those post-secondary institutions. So that's another unique feature to My Future AZ that helps us to stand out. We're also part of the ACCR, so we come together with other local nonprofits to help build a collaborative around supporting educators and students. And I think that's just another standout feature of My Future AZ.
Yeah. A lot of our rural school communities have limitations in broadband. They also might have staff capacity issues. How does the platform help address things like that?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We have worked with several rural communities, and internet is a barrier in some of those communities. And one of the good things that did come from the pandemic, if there was something that was good that came from the pandemic, is expanded internet access. But I know that there are cuts to funding coming down the pipeline. And so those things might look a little different. And so what we've done in the past to help is we provide all of our trainings for the tool utilization. We provide them in a video recording as well. And there was actually a school north of Flagstaff this last year that we continued to try to provide a Zoom training for them. And a storm came through and the internet cut, or there was some connectivity issue in the internet. So after the third reschedule, my team and I said, let's record the training and give it to them. And so we were able to record and allow them to use or watch that training at a time that was convenient for them. Additionally, we have created a Google Classroom, essentially, that helps provide that training for educators as well, because the tool is only as good as the people that are implementing it. And so we really want them to feel empowered and successful and capable of using it. And so we do have a host of opportunities for educators to learn how to best utilize all of the features. So Google Classroom really walks through all of the features and how to utilize them, and some real true active participation moments in true teacher fashion. And we do honor all of the opportunities with professional development hours as well, because, everyone needs those credentials. And so we make sure we honor our participants' time with that. So we also really value coming in person. Sometimes that is the most meaningful way to learn something new, is really just having a person in front of you and helping you through it. And so we love coming out and visiting with people in person and seeing what the kids community is like and building those relationships with educators. It's so powerful. And I would add that to the thing that helps us to stand out, as well as that we really value our partnerships with our schools and our educators and respect the professionalism that they bring to the classroom, and really honor everything that they're doing and just cherish those teachers and all that they do. So just another thing that I would add to what makes us unique and stand out.
Nice. Well, if there was a rural district that was listening and they wanted to get started, what exactly do they receive when they start? And talk a little bit about what that onboarding includes.
Yeah, so we would meet. We would come together, my team, myself included, and really listen to what your needs are. So what does that administrator foresee, or a team of educators foresee, and what do they need? Do they need curricular resources? Do they need day in and day out use of the tool? Are they going to use the tool, a handful of times a year? So really just listening and learning to what their needs are. And then we will design an implementation plan that's going to best fit the needs of their community. So we would typically come together, align a time where we can train the educators, give them some ideas on best practice, offer our follow-up, offer some site visits, and then follow up throughout the year as well to empower the team that's using the tool to understand some of those reporting abilities that they have. How are students engaging? Are students engaging? What are questions that you have? Because once you get in there and you start poking around in anything in digital land, you're going to have a question. So we like to make sure that we pop back in several times a year to answer any questions that you have. We also have monthly trainings. So the monthly trainings and open office hours. So those are things that educators can sign up for at any time and join us just to get a refresher, or just get some FaceTime with the My Future AZ team and answer any questions that they have.
How long does it typically take to go from I'm interested to I'm implementing?
That's a good question. I would say we can interest to implement within just a few weeks. And that is contingent upon school schedules. They're busy. You're doing all the things, especially back to school season. So we can most certainly work with your tech teams at the district sites to make sure that all of those whitelisting issues are taken care of ahead of time. And schedules allowed, we can get in and provide training virtually much quicker than in person. But like I mentioned earlier, we love a good in-person road trip to come do training. So that might push out a start time a little bit.
Yep. Good way to see Arizona.
It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful to get the chance to see where our kids are learning and what the schools look like. And it's been such a gift for me as a classroom teacher, because you're in your classroom, you're in your four walls all day, every day for 10 plus years for me. Yeah. And what a gift it is to get to go out into the community and see the other classrooms and meet other educators and see all the innovation that's happening across the state. It's just a real privilege.
Nice. You mentioned whitelisting, and I'm sure that's just one of the many technical requirements. Can you talk a little bit? I know that you're not focused on IT, but if they had technical requirements, just to be aware, do you have a list of those that might be something to think about?
Yeah, so whitelisting is just one thing that we work with IT teams at the district to kind of make sure that we're able to communicate with students and educators just for password reset emails, et cetera. Schools have really wonderful and meaningful parameters around who can communicate with students. So this just allows us to be able to send those system generated messages. But as far as outside of whitelisting, the only other technical thing that we would need to make sure that we align on ahead of implementation would be if a school utilizes ClassLink or Clever as a single sign-on. We do partner with each of those organizations. So that can be be easy for kiddos, and just an extra step on our end if you would like to access the platform with students through one of those sites. We also have a really wonderful ongoing IT team, like a support on the site. So educators and parents and caregivers, as well as students, if they're having trouble saving a document, or they can't remember their password, or do I have an account? I can't remember if I even have an account, or I can't find this kid on my dashboard, or how do I find this information? We have a team set up to support educators very, very quickly if they, or any person rather, if they contact support. And our team sees all of those support tickets as well. It's really helpful for us in driving changes within the tool as well.
Mm-hmm. Nice. You worked really hard to make training responsive, especially to rural communities. And you've mentioned a few things: the monthly calls, the implementation meeting, just to ensure that you're meeting needs. But can you talk a little bit more about what it looks like in practice, especially when you have staff that has limited time and might even be, the many hats syndrome of rural is alive and well in a lot of our school communities. And so that personnel lift is sometimes pretty heavy. Can you talk a little bit about what it looks like in a rural school where it's really clicked?
Yeah, so I empathize with many hat syndrome. When you're in the classroom, you are the teacher and the social worker and sometimes the mom or the dad and the counselor. You're all of the things. And so I understand that. And when we make decisions about the tool and we make decisions about resources and availability, we keep those things in mind as well. The tool is really set up, and the whole system is really set up to support educators in helping their students design what's next and plan what's next, rather than, ECAP. Sometimes people think like an ECAP is something we have to do. We have to do an ECAP, and they just want to check the box. I've done the ECAP. And something that I encourage, or that I try to help administrators and educators do when I meet with them, is really shift that narrative from I have to do an ECAP with my students and I have to check this box to I get to do an ECAP or a graduation plan with my students. I get to support my students in planning out what's next for them. And that mindset shift is so powerful, because that's what we all got into education for, is for kids. Right. We want to help kids. We want to help them to be successful in what's next, and in a meaningful career and lifelong happiness. And so when we can shift that narrative and empower educators to have the tools that they need and the questions answered that they have, what we're doing is setting up Arizona students for success and lifelong happiness and generational impact. And so I think that when it feels heavy, and it can feel heavy, everything that's within the classroom, just remembering what we're all here for. We're here to help them to feel successful in what's next. And so what My Future AZ does is really wants to come alongside you with other education institutions, and come alongside you with industry and a team to support you. And, this is something that we have to do, but it's something that we really get to do. So we're grateful for those partnerships.
And I want to follow up on that, because what you're talking about is relevance, and especially with students, relevance is everything. So how does My Future AZ ensure that the options that students see align with local realities and rural career pathways, especially since, we're talking rural here?
Yeah, absolutely. So two things to start. The tool is really, it's really designed to be student driven. So the first thing that students are invited to do when they join the tool is take a career interest assessment. And so we're going to ask them 60 questions, and then we're going to feed them or show them their top 3 industries based on their current interests and their current skills. What do they bring to the table? And they all get to explore those different industries. They can explore any industry, but they'll get to explore the ones that they match with. And on each or within each of the industries, they're able to explore nearly 900 different careers and over 6,000 education pathways, including pathways in the rural communities. And so they can start planning out what the future might look like for them, regardless of where they're located throughout the state. So we do partner with and have pathways for all of our rural community colleges, all of our universities, and lots of short-term training opportunities as well. Oh, look at that. Did you see that thumbs up?
Well, I did. That's wonderful.
Doing fun stuff. Yeah, and Zoom agrees. It's thumbs up for pathways. So the tool really helps align the kiddos to really relevant pathways that meet their needs. But when it comes to showing them those pathways in their local education spaces, they're going to be able to find those within those career pages. But we also have what we call bridge or opt-in. And so we have partnerships with Arizona Western and CAC. We're in communications with Mojave. They have their pathways available on the tool as well. But
nice.
Students are able to seamlessly connect to a team of advisors at those community colleges. So they'll click within those career pages to learn more, and a prompt will show up, and it'll ask the kiddos, would you like to be connected to an advisor at Arizona Western College? If they select yes, a team of trained folks at that school will be able to communicate with that student and support them along that continuum. So nice. A really helpful feature that we've turned on for AWC specifically and CAC in February. And since then, we've seen several hundred kids opt in to exploring pathways at those post-secondary institutions. So really excited that feature was able to be switched on this school year.
How often do you update that information?
It can be updated at any time. And in fact, programs are constantly changing. The jobs that were available when I graduated college to the jobs that are available now are totally different.
Yeah.
So we do have teams at each of the community colleges that are trained on the tool and can go in at any time and change them. But we do check them pretty regularly to make sure that everything is up to date for kiddos.
So, Jessica, talk a little bit about how districts can use the platform to highlight or spotlight their own CTE programs or college partnerships, or as you were talking about, those job opportunities that are close to home.
Yeah, so one of the things that high schools have the ability to do is create something called a school page. And so on their school page, they can highlight all that information. They can highlight standout employees, enrollment, programs that they offer. They can talk about anything that is exciting about their school that they want kids to get excited about. And our middle school students are going to have the opportunity to match to a high school based on their career interests. So I've seen this in practice in Yuma, for example. We had a student who was really interested in welding, had a whole plan for themselves on what welding program they were interested in. This is what they wanted to do. But it turns out that the school that they had planned to attend, that they were just going to feed into, didn't have a CTE welding program. So they were able to use My Future AZ to search the radius around their zip code and find a high school that had the programming that they were looking for, and they were able to make that transition. So love to see kids, taking agency over their learning and over their secondary journey. And that's available through the school pages on the high school kind of vantage point for middle school kiddos.
Nice. We talk a lot about rural students, or any students for that matter, needing connectors. So how does the platform help link students with mentors or advisors or even employers? You were talking a little bit about that. Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so My Future AZ is really part of a system, and Pipeline Connects is really the system that brings together technology and process all together in one space with educators and education institutions alongside industry and community as well. So being part of ACCR is really helpful because we bring the knowledge of the collective to all of our educators as well. So the system is set up currently to have unique experiences for not only community members, so thinking about like our junior achievements, and we have Arizona Friends of Foster Care in there as well, et cetera, et cetera. They have their own vantage point or view of the tool, parents and caregivers are also invited to support their students on their own view of the tool or of the program. And so are educators and administrators, because it really is not one person's job to make sure that a student is successful on what's next. It really does take a collective. It really is everyone coming together and uplifting our students. And so we want to make sure we embedded that in the experience within My Future AZ. So everyone has their own way of kind of supporting and having a hand on a kiddo through their own vantage point on My Future AZ.
That's fantastic. That holistic support is really what makes it very appealing, and I'm sure that's what lends to its success as well.
Yeah, and we're just so grateful for all of the educators and all of the parents and caregivers that come alongside their students and use the tool to help support students, because it can't just be kids and their counselors. We know that there are 1 to over 600 is the ratio for counselor to student. So it's a huge daunting ask for a counselor to take on this responsibility for all of their students. So we really do need everyone to come together and to champion their students and support them, because they're our future.
Indeed. Well said. You talked a little bit about ECAP compliance. And we may have listeners that don't know what that means. So can you talk a little bit about how My Future AZ helps schools manage those state requirements more easily?
Yes. So My Future AZ was able to develop a really beautiful and first of its kind digital ECAP. And so what we have in the state of Arizona is the board rule that requires several different factors for a school to remain in ECAP compliance with the Department of Education. This is going to look like turning in one student sample plan, so one student's digital ECAP to ADE a year, as well as an implementation plan. So how are you implementing career exploration in your school site? And ADE has a wonderful host of resources on their website on samples and what these can look like. But what My Future AZ does is provides a really seamless way for educators to log in. They'll see all of their students. They'll be able to see, okay, Johnny is at 80%. Here's where he needs help. Jessica is at 100%. Well done, star for her, etc. And they can find a student, support them to getting to their 100% graduation plan requirement. They'll be able to seamlessly print those out or save them and turn them into for ECAP compliance to ABE. So rather than maybe collecting them on paper or having students turn something in on an annual basis, this is all done digitally, supported digitally, and saved digitally. So ECAPs are meant to be annually completed on an annual basis. So our system will save ECAPs digitally for students on an annual basis, and educators can take a look at those archived ECAPs at any time. Another thing that I would mention that a graduation plan is great. It helps us to drive our students in their decision making. It also helps us to remain in ECAP compliance, but everything that your student is doing when they use or complete their digital ECAP is going to stay with them beyond their time in My Future AZ. So if they join us in the CAC version of the tool, or they join us in the Pocania version of the tool, everything that they've saved from their employment history, their letters of recommendation, their likes, their dislikes, their volunteer hours, this is all going to stay with them. They don't need to start again. So they're going to go with a leg up when they get into that post-secondary institution. And the educators at that site are already going to have a really strong understanding of what the student brings to the table. And it also helps them when they start looking for jobs in Pipeline AZ. They're going to have a really wonderful and built out resume that's going to help them be a really competitive job seeker when they join us in that space as well. And all of these tools are at no cost. So no cost for any kid at any time or any educator.
And I think that's really important, because we know that budgets are very limited in terms of programming like this. And so it is fantastic that it's no cost.
It's my favorite thing to say.
Do you have a favorite success story from a district, whether rural or not, that's using the platform well?
Mhm. Oh, that's hard to say, man. We work with so many outstanding educators, and we see implementation and usage look different all across the state. When I think about a rural community that's been really successful with usage, I'm going to shout out Chinle. The area has, the educators there have been real champions of the tool and utilizing the resources within the tool. So we've had really wonderful administrative buy-in from the admins in the area, and they're really communicative with us and asking good questions and advocating for their educators. Like, hey, my educators need training. My educators need this. Can you please support with this? And the squeaky wheel gets the oil. We're out there. We're helping them. We're recording trainings. We're getting on calls with them. And so really that administrative buy-in has made such an impact in the community, but also asking for help. The educators and administrators there have asked for more. How can you help us with this? And so we were able to connect them with Junior Achievement. Junior Achievement was able to support them in some financial literacy curricula. And so we're able to bring that out for the community. So I have found that rural educators are fierce champions for their spaces, and will really go to any length to bring resources to their schools and to their students. So shout out to Chinle. Well done.
I'm sure Superintendent Nate will be very happy to hear that.
Hey.
So what would you say to school leaders who are interested, but maybe they're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by the idea of adopting something new? What would you want to say to them?
Yeah, so I empathize with that because I have been an educator in a classroom that has been voluntold to do a new thing. And it can be a lot. It can be a lot to have something new in your space, but know that we're here to support. And, the one thing that is constant in education is change. And we can count on things changing. And so we would love to come alongside you and help you and your teams to shift the narrative around ECAP from have to get to. Allow us to partner with you. Allow us to provide the resources for your teams and for your students, because we're here. We're part of your community. We're part of the Arizona ecosystem, and we want to be able to make really sustainable impact in these spaces. And so, as much as it feels like a daunting new task, know that bringing access and awareness to your students is so important, and we're here to help support that.
So let's say we've convinced somebody. Okay. We're going to do it. I love it. If they're ready to get started, what's the very first step? Who should they reach out to?
Yeah, so you can reach out to myself, or you can reach out to our info line, so info@pipelineaz.com. Just let them know that you're interested, you'd love to learn more. If you want to poke around and see what the tool has to offer, we'd be happy to set you up with some demonstration credentials. If you want to take a look at some of our video content, we can share that with you. Or if you just want to pick my brain, feel free. We're happy to connect with you. info@pipelineaz.com, and we'll connect you with all of the team members to support you and answer any questions that you have.
So Jessica, you and your team have partnered with schools all across Arizona. So you've got some background in what's going on across the state. What has surprised or inspired you most in working with these districts, especially if they're in rural communities?
What has surprised or inspired me most? I think what surprises me and inspires me, well, the kids always inspire me. Students inspire me. They are amazing and fantastic, and give me so much hope. I love when we get the opportunities to come to career fairs or our parent-facing events, and we get to see kids. We get to see kids interact with the tool and imagine a future for themselves that they might not have seen otherwise. I will actually speak to a particular moment where my team and I were able to go into a juvenile detention center. And we were able to, and I won't cry, I might cry, but we were able to go into this group of students and show them how to utilize the tool, how to go in and take the interest assessment, how to find education pathways for themselves after they're released from incarceration. And it was the most beautiful experience because these students are facing such a huge amount of barriers being incarcerated at such a young age, likely having really hard and challenging home lives. And so I remember sitting with one of the young men, and he wanted to be a mechanic and was so excited about the salary that he would get to have being a mechanic beyond his time incarcerated, and then was able to find out that he could take that coursework at Yavapai Community College once he was released. So he was able to really start imagining, like he is sitting incarcerated and being able to imagine what's next for him. And I just hope that it gave him hope. And so really, truly the kids have been so inspiring, and the innovation of educators as well. I mean, they're just magic. They really are. So
well said. Thanks for sharing that. So thinking ahead, what do you see as the next evolution for career exploration in K-12, especially in rural spaces? And, there's a big conversation. I'm sure you're aware that AI or personalized learning is going to play a role in how that rolls out. But what does the future look like for our students?
Well, I have seen and heard some really neat innovations coming around VR. So Earn to Learn has some wonderful programming coming out. I know we have some partners in the Yuma area that have VR as part of their career exploration kind of suite of offerings. And I think that is going to be a really innovative way to approach career exploration in our rural settings. Obviously, in person is going to be the most impactful for students. We want to take them out in the community and let them engage with things hands-on. But next to that, VR, I mean, how neat for a student to be able to ride in an ambulance or do an oil change under, the hood of a car in virtual reality at any time. I mean, it really kind of levels the playing field a little bit. So excited to see how that'll grow.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So at its core, this truly is about student agency. So how do you see My Future AZ helping students imagine a meaningful future? You talked about the student that was looking to have a next step in being a mechanic. And that's a meaningful future. It's not just picking a job. So how do you see the platform supporting students in setting goals and tracking growth and building in ways to incorporate student voice into that whole experience?
Good question. As a mom of high school aged students and an educator, my son is a senior, and a question people ask him all the time when they see him: what are you going to do after high school? What are you going to do? What are you going to go to college for? What are you going to study? And 9 out of 10 times he says, I don't know, or I'm not sure. Well, they're really young people, and it's a big choice to make at a really young age. And so what I love about the tool is that it takes their skills and interests and aligns them to pathways, but also empowers them to change their mind. What fit for them when they were 16 might not fit for them when they're 17. And that's okay. And it shouldn't. How many of our post-secondary pathways on that similar kind of transition where you thought, oh, I'm going to do this. Oh, just kidding. I'm not going to do this. And so, that's okay. We want kids to understand that you don't need to have everything figured out at 18. And when you go to register for classwork, or you take that CTE, course, and you decide, well, that was not actually for me. Let's realign. Let's retake the assessment. Let's explore new industries and careers. Let's figure out some new CTE coursework that you can take, and just change your trajectory, and allowing them to have that agency and autonomy to make those changes, and then understand what pathways within the state of Arizona they can they can explore to help meet their kind of transitioning needs and their the ebbs and flows that come with being a young person and growing into being an adult. Students really do drive their experience within the tool, and alongside their parents and caregivers, alongside their educators, community members, industry, etc. And we do invite students to provide feedback on an annual basis on the tool. What do you want to see more of? What worked for you? What was something that you learned that was new to you? This is something that we welcome because they are our why, and so we need to listen to them.
Love that. Love that. Well, Jessica, to close this out, we always end with this question. What does the term rural advantage mean to you?
So I think, and I'm learning, and I'm grateful to learn from subject area experts like you, but what I think that this means, what it might mean to me, is just the advantage to being in a rural community and truly being just that, being a community. As much as an educator in a rural space does have that multi-hat syndrome and doing all those things, it allows for a real closeness of the community members. So I have heard and worked with lots of educators that in rural spaces that taught a student and then taught their child and then taught that student's child. And so the advantage there is you've got this really vested and beautiful community that really cares about one another, and knows one another and is invested in the success of the families and the communities. And so I would say that I would think that is a rural advantage that is unique to those communities.
I love that answer. That's
awesome.
Fantastic. No, it's good. And I hear that a lot, that it's about the people. It's about the relationships that you're able to build in a small community like many of our rural communities in Arizona are. So great answer.
Yes, thanks.
Well, before we wrap up, we're going to switch gears just a little bit, and we're going to head into our rural rundown. It's a quick hit segment. We're going to ask you a few rapid fire questions just to get to know you a little bit better. So I want you just to say the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Okay, I am.
Favorite way to start the day? Coffee, tea, or something else?
Coffee.
I more often than not, that's the answer they give. What was your very first job?
Oh, I was a car hop at Sonic. And so I had to wear the roller skates. I made $2 an hour, and I had to wheel around those terrible 44-ounce giant dreams at 15 years old on roller skates. I stole many as 44-ounce sodas into people's cars. If you're listening, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was just a baby.
Great. Favorite school lunch?
Oh, pizza, the square ones, Ooh. I don't think they make them like that anymore, but those were it.
I don't think that was real cheese, honestly.
It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Dirty Dancing. Oh, so good.
Oh my gosh. I saw that in the theater. I don't know how many times. I'm with you.
Oh, it's beautiful. I will still have a dance party if the song comes on. You have to.
You have to. Where would you go for your dream vacation?
Oh, anywhere with beautiful forests that match the ocean. Mm-hmm. We recently made a wonderful trip, my family and I, to Olympic National Park. So anywhere where I can get in lush green, beautiful moss, and really explore the wonders of our national parks, that's where I would
love it.
Get my feet in the dirt.
Love it. A rural town in Arizona that stole your heart.
Oh, that is a hard one to say, but I had a beautiful time when I was working at SARSEF in Wilcox, and those educators are committed down there. We are Wilcox. They were awesome, and they have such a beautiful food scene down there, and they have wonderful engagement in STEM exploration, and so lots of really great thrift shops down there as well. It was a good time. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Best piece of career advice that you ever received?
That I ever received. I guess I would say that I received, I'm not sure. Maybe it's okay to change your mind. And I'd say this to my own students and students when I get to interact with them from a work capacity as well. But change your mind. Don't dig your heels in. It's okay to start again. It's okay to reinvent yourself. These are things that we get to do, and learning is so important and such a privilege. What a gift it is to be able to learn new things and be a learner, even as you are 20 years into your career like myself. Just always be learning and don't be afraid to change trajectory if you need to.
Love it. Thanks for playing. Thanks for playing. Well, Jessica, thanks so much for being here and sharing how My Future AZ is helping rural students dream bigger and plan smarter. And really your work is making a real difference. I know that today's conversation is going to spark some interest across a lot of districts. So thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. And if anyone is curious, obviously, please do reach out to us at info@pipelineaz.com. We will be at the AZCTE conference, the summer conference in July in Tucson, but we'll also be speaking at the Rural Conference this September as well. So happy to connect, jump on a call, take a road trip. Lots of ways to come together.
Well, I hope that those that are listening really do take advantage of reaching out to the team. It's one of those really rare opportunities, no cost, big impact, and tailored for your rural school. So fantastic.
Thanks.
Well, we'll be back soon for more stories and strategies that spotlight the innovation and resilience in rural education. So until next time, keep leaning into the rural advantage.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Rural Scoop. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe. Your support helps us keep these important rural conversations going. And we'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a comment or share your thoughts. You can follow along and never miss a new release by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform or by following us on social. We're on YouTube at The Rural Scoop, Instagram at msadorf1, and X at msadorf03. The Rural Scoop is produced with support from Vela Educational Consultants. To learn more, visit velaconsultants.com. See you next time for more great discussions about rural education. And as always, keep leaning into the rural advantage.